How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, April 10th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an individual profile on Sadio Mane, one of the best wingers in the world, who is the starting winger for Liverpool at the very moment. He's one of the best players that you've probably seen in a bit, and my intention with this episode is to let his accolades and his stats and his achievements speak for themselves, as he's played quite an amazing career, and he's had quite a story coming from Senegal, playing all around the world, and showing that he's one of the best players to ever put on a Liverpool uniform. So if you've never seen him, the way I would describe his play is that he works on the other side. He works on the other wing from Mo Salah, another African elite forward that Liverpool has. And I think the way they work together works so well from one another. Sadio Mane is the faster of the two. He's an amazing dribbler. He's also an amazing passer as well. And when you see him click with Mo Salah, it's probably one of the better wing duos that you've ever seen in the history of soccer. So without further ado, I'm just going to give some background. So originally he's from Senegal, and he would make his first appearance for Senegal in about the 2012 Olympics when he was 20 years old. But at the end of the day, before he had gotten to the Olympics, he found his way. He broke through onto the professional scene when he came up with Metz in France when they were in Ligue 2, or the second league of France. And in that league, they finished at the very bottom, but he would end up playing 19 matches, starting maybe 12 of those as a 19-year-old or in his age 19 season. He would finish with a goal and an assist, even though he rarely contributed to that Mets squad. But but by making the Mets team, he was still one of the best Senegalese players in the world. And following his 1 year at Metz, Red Bull Salzburg, which is the best team in Austria at the moment, the top club in Austria, they decided that they would take him off Metz's hands for a bit, just to see, of course, how they would perform. And with Sadio Mane, he would get his first opportunity to show the world what he was capable of at Salzburg. His first season would be in 2012-2013, his age 20 season. And within the Austrian Bundesliga, out of the 26 matches that he played, he would score 16 goals and 8 assists to help RB Salzburg finish second in the Austrian Bundesliga. And that's the most goals that he had. Of course, up until then, the fact that he had scored 16 goals in his very first league in Austria put a lot of the world on notice. And of course, with Sadio Mane would go on to help, or I guess right then that season, they would come all the way close to the very end, but they wouldn't get it. But like I said, the world was starting to take notice of how great this young player was. But of course, he still had yet to win. When he came back for his second year at RB Salzburg in his age 21 season, he would start 30 of the 33 Austrian Bundesliga matches, of course, in a season where RB Salzburg would finish with the best record in the Bundesliga. This is his last full season for them, and he would start 30 to 34 games, finishing with 13 goals and 12 assists. He had 4 or 3 less goals in the previous season before more assists. That's the most assists he's also ever put up in a domestic league ever in his career. And of course, add that on to they wouldn't make Champions League that year, but of course, RB Salzburg would win yet another title, which is definitely something that they needed. It was their first title in the last couple of years, first since he won. And after they won that, he would catch the attention of the Premier League. So leading into his very next season at RB Salzburg, following the season where he won the Austrian Championship and they won the Austrian Cup, he would play 4 games for RB Salzburg in 2014-2015, his age 22 season. In those 4 games that he played, he finished with 2 goals and 3 assists. But then right after those 4 games, he would get moved to Southampton to finish out the season. So in total, he played 34 total games that year, 28 total starts. He would finish with 12 total domestic goals and 6 total domestic assists between both teams, as he had 3 assists on both. He had 10 goals at Southampton in his very first season in the Premier League. In his first season with Southampton, they would finish 7th in the Premier League. But even though they finished seventh in the Premier League, many people were starting to understand that, like, or at least when, or in his first season, that Sadio Mane was going to be a very big player for this team. Transitioning into his first full season, his second season with Southampton, he would start 30 of the 37 games in a season where Southampton finished sixth in the Premier League. The season he would get noticed as he scored double-digit goals in the Premier League for the second time in a row. He had 11 goals against 6 assists. And while doing so as a 23, 24-year-old player to help get Southampton into Europa League competition, he, of course, would start to get noticed, and he would get picked up by Liverpool for the following season. And ever since he signed with Liverpool, it's virtually been history. His first season with Liverpool would be in 2016-2017, his age 24 season. He would start 26 of the 27 games in a season where Liverpool would actually finish with the fourth best record in the Premier League. They finished as semi-finalists in the EFL Cup final, and this is the season where Philippe Coutinho would lead the league in scoring. But in Sadio Mane's first Premier League season, he would go on to finish with 13 goals. He finished with 13 goals and 5 assists, which of course is the most goals that he'd ever put up in a Premier League season. He had shown that he was evolving as a player, and the fact that he was doing it for Liverpool kind of says a little bit more. And they weren't officially a Champions League team until Sadio Mane had officially got them into contention, or Sadio Mane was one of the players to help get them in Champions League contention for that season. Looking out to 2017-2018, in their first season, of course, where they would acquire Mohamed Salah, the first season that Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah would be together. In 2017-2018, which was his age 25 season, he would start 28 of 29 Premier League matches in a season where Liverpool would finish with the fourth best record in the Premier League for the second year in a row. But this is, of course, the year that Mohamed Salah had his breakout season, finished with 44 total goals in the season as they finished runners-up in the Champions League I believe they finished runners-up in the Champions League to Real Madrid when they started to show how good they were. But in his second season at Liverpool, like I said, he had 10 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League itself. Looking out into Champions League, he finished with 10 goals and 2 assists in all the games that he played. That's the most goals that he's ever scored in Champions League by far. So, of course, mad impressive for him. He scored, and after Liverpool would find themselves on the losing end of the Champions League final, he would actually help Senegal qualify for the World Cup. They would lose in the group stage, but he would still finish with a goal in his very first World Cup appearance. Not many people can say they've scored in a World Cup before. So, of course, he has that under his resume as well. And this would transition into kind of not the mogul stage, but the winning stage of his Champions League or of his Liverpool career. In his third season at Liverpool, his age 26 season in 2018-19, he would start 35 of the 36 games in the Premier League in a season where, of course, Liverpool would go all the way and they finished second in the Premier League. They finished runners-up to Man City in a race that was very close to the very end. But in 2018-19, they would go on to win Champions League as Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, along with the other players at Liverpool, including Virgil van Dijk, would put up some of the best performances that they would in their careers. In this Premier League season, in the 36 games that he played, Sadio Mane would finish with 22 goals and an assist in the domestic league. That's the most goals that he's ever scored in a domestic league, the only time that he's ever scored 20. And then when you add it on to what he did in Champions League, he scored 2 goals in the 8 Champions League matches that he played. I'm looking at the wrong season. He scored 4 goals in the 13 Champions League matches that he played. And like I said, this year, they would go on to beat Barcelona in the championship to be crowned the titles champions of Europe. And then following this, they would go on to win the FIFA Club World Cup, proving that they were the best team in the world because every Champions League winner plays in the FIFA Club World Cup. And then following that, they were able to win the UEFA Super Cup, where they had to face off against the winner of Europa League So of course Liverpool was able to win all the they were able to win the international or the continental trophies and the FIFA Club World Cup that they were supposed to. They were a very good team that year. So transition that and then also in 2019 he was also named the African Footballer of the Year. So of course there's always that. And this was also coming off the only season in his career in which he's led the Premier League in goals. So of course that should speak more. That should also speak to Sadio Mane's just amazingness and skill. Another elite achievement that I believe deserves him recognition on this list. So, following the 18-19 season in which they became the champions of Europe, in 2019-20, in a season that was incredibly affected by COVID, Sadio Mane and in this season, they would still finish the full season. You would play 31 of 35 games in a season where Liverpool would win Premier League for the first time since 1990, which of course was a very big feat. And Sadio Mane was, of course, one of the biggest figures to help get it there. And this is a season where they had the Premier League locked up with like a couple or with not that many games to go, and they were still able to finish. So it was in the midst of COVID where it kind of stopped the season in the middle, but they were still able to finish it. In the 35 Premier League games that he played, he finished with 18 goals and 7 assists, which is the most scoring plays that he's ever had in a Premier League season. He didn't have 22 goals like last time, but his 7 assists more than makes up for the only 1 assist that he got last year. Adding Champions League, he finished with 2 goals and 2 assists in the 8 matches that he played, as of course I believe Liverpool got, I forget who knocked Liverpool out, but Liverpool definitely got knocked out in Champions League last year, but they were still able to win they were still able to win the Premier League, which is probably one of the biggest feats for them as a club very recently. They did win Champions League, which is a very big feat. They hadn't won Premier League in a while, so that was a very big win for them, and it was a very emotional win. And Sadio Mane was one of the driving forces to help them do so. And following this season that was heavily impacted by COVID, that literally split the season in half, that transitions us into this current season. Sadio Mane is age 28, now turning 29, season at Liverpool in 2020-2021. Right now, if we're looking at how he's doing in the Premier League so far, he's played 25. He started 25 of the 27 games that he's played for, of course, a Liverpool club that's sitting 7th in the Premier League at the moment. Right now within the Premier League, they have the same amount of points as Tottenham, but they have a smaller goal differential. They actually do have a game today as they do face off against Aston Villa. A win here could temporarily put them into Europa League contention and possibly Champions League temporarily if they tie West Ham in points and Chelsea loses. So that's currently where Liverpool, they're very close to not qualifying for Champions League next year. But looking at how they're doing in Champions League this year, right now they're in the quarterfinals of Champions League. They recently lost the first leg to Real Madrid on Tuesday. They lost 3-1. Their second leg will be played on April. This game, I believe, will be in Liverpool. So, of course, that'll be a great matchup to watch, as Sadio Mane looks to be a big part of that. So far in Premier League, he has 7 goals and 5 assists for the 7th place team. So, he's really he's doing what he can. And in Champions League so far this year, he has 3 goals and an assist in the 9 games that he's played. So, he is being a solid, consistent contributor for this team. It just seems as though he's not going to make it past this round at the moment. And their chances of making it through even to Champions League next year, after they were leading the Premier League for a good amount of this season, their chances look bleak, but as long as they have Sadio Mane, I believe they still have a chance. With that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 14 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. I want to wish Sadio Mane a happy 29th birthday. And if you ever get a chance, check him out. He's currently wearing number 10 for Liverpool. He wears number 10 for Senegal as well. And if you ever get a chance to watch him, Liverpool plays their very next game today at 10 o'clock this morning if you ever get a chance. With that said, thanks once again for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with another elite profile after this. Peace out.